Hello, everybody. John Delvecchio here from Street Skills, and this is my first live video, and I'm trying something a little different here. I tried earlier with my phone; it's a little difficult, so I ended up pulling out a computer. I see there's three people here. I might be one of them on my phone. I'm not quite sure, but at least two people are here, and that's good. Nice small group and little tutoring session. Now, my name is John Delvecchio. I've been operating Street Skills motorcycling school for since 2015 now. And in order to connect with the cornering confidence community, I'm going to be doing a series of 6 videos. And you can see the topic agenda below. Now, tonight is sort of a meet and greet and try to work out some of the kinks. The other 5 videos can be thought of as tutoring sessions on the actual chapters in my book and online course. And those follow the coaching tours and track days that I teach as well. So, unlike other schools, mine is focused on one specific set of skills, cornering with what the world refers to as trail breaking. Now, trail breaking is just one of the benefits of a technique for brake throttle transitions. And that really is the centerpiece of my program. And, I've kind of, as a coach, whittled down really what niche that I feel I could serve. And so what I teach in my courses and through my book and whatnot are things that I have collected, different skills I've tried, and they've really worked for me and given me that excitement behind the handlebars. Now, Cornering Confidence, the book, the online course, they're the lesson plans for my coaching tours. And the while coaching tours and track days are excellent learning environments, they are complex to organize. And they can be very expensive. People's schedules, they really can't get where they're going. And so the vision that I have for Street Skills and the Cornering Confidence program is a little different. It's a little unorthodox. Now, the book and online course can be studied individually or alongside others. So think clubs can form study groups and sort of work on these things on their Sunday rides. Now, to personalize the experience, students can interact with me via really any communication method, email, FaceTime is really easy. I wish I could do this in sort of a FaceTime type of scenario with more than a few people. And so I'm just trying to see if you want to maybe type, a little introduction so I know that live chat is working, or just say hello. I see a few people are here. It should be working, and I just want to make sure that I can get the questions from people in the live chat, which should be turned on. If it's not, that's something that I'm just gonna have to work out. Hopefully you can hear me and everything's going well. Now, back to the online course and the book and sort of those impersonal ways of learning or solo things. People like to get feedback, and I like to ride great motorcycling roads too. And so I'm looking forward to meeting up with people in real time where we can gather and ride and discuss the skills. I can explain things, give you a thumbs up, provide feedback, and think of it as a more informal setting where we can have people learning the information a little bit on their own than coming in, having some basic knowledge. Now, the good thing about having people learn the content ahead of time is that when I do see them, they will have some previous experience or knowledge of the skills. And I might be able to take them a little bit further. Now, when I teach the tours and the track days, people might be hearing what I'm saying for the first time. And, so it may actually limit the learning process, slow down the learning process. Now, the online course also makes people more engaged in the content because I know that they've watched the videos, they focused on the material beforehand. Now, the online course is also much cheaper than a traditional course, and it does make it more accessible. Now, that just gives you an idea of why I might be doing these videos, because I want to give people sort of a concrete communication way to get information from me, ask me questions, get to know me a little bit better. Now, I'd like to, with this particular video here, answer some questions that you might have. If there's book readers out there, I plan on maybe going through a little bit of the acknowledgements, some of the people that have influenced me or whatnot. Also the introduction. There's really not a whole lot I plan on really talking about tonight. It was more just to sort of see if we can get this dialogue going. And if you do have any questions that I could have answered, or you want to know some information about me, please go ahead and type, in the live chat. I do see that there's 8 people here, so I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Maybe you can explain the level of training that you have taken. Well, in the absence of questions, I guess I can just explain a few more things just about me. Again, please ask the questions. I see someone just came in. Now, I've been riding since the early 2000s, and I had a couple people that were really influential in my life regarding motorcycling. And some of them I've met personally, some I've only read their books or watched their videos as well. But I studied as much as I possibly could on how to become a better cornering expert, if you will. I'm still learning, obviously, like everybody is. But what I can say is I kind of crossed, I guess, into a new world when I assembled what is in my Cornering Confidence book and program, because it takes all the guesswork out of the corner. It puts you in 100% control of your speed and direction, and it just makes you enjoy the sport of motorcycling better. My friends and I just went for a nice ride, about a half-day ride Sunday, and I mean, it's great riding in the twisties without getting pucker moments. I mean, I know before I sort of perfected my formula, if you will, I would run into all kinds of trouble in a couple curves almost every ride. And it does really feel good to know that you can control that motorcycle when you're going into the corner. Now, the chat either isn't working properly or people are just a little bit shy. So I am going to try to do these videos with the two-way dialogue. I kind of envisioned that more for this particular thing. So if you are watching this video and you can't post a chat question for some reason, maybe I'll take a look at the comments here. Okay, now I'm looking at the comments because it doesn't. You see if the chat's going here. I can see it better on my phone. Okay, it's nice to see people are here. The video is grainy. I tried to do it on my phone, and I haven't done the live videos before. And what happened was I went to go turn the camera landscape, and that it threw it right off. I mean, you'd be looking at me sideways on the screen. So quick, I ran over and I got my work computer, and so I'm really using that now. I do apologize for the poor equipment. I'm not really I guess skilled in that area just yet. So good. I do have some questions here. Steve's here. Chris Geis is here. This guy's got a great podcast. So you'd like to ride a motorcycle, and that's really interesting. I invited him to take the course. And it's nice that he's here because he can sort of maybe give me some feedback later on how this might work. Now, there's webinar software out there that you can actually, I forget the names of them, and you can actually run like a more of a webinar type of thing. Lloyd from Cincinnati, awesome. I went through Cincinnati once. It's just so beautiful down there. And the Motorcycle Sport Touring Association president, I actually met him at AIM Expo a few years ago. And that's how I got involved with the Motorcycle Sport Touring Association as a merchant member. And he's down there in Kentucky, and he says it's just great. Hopefully, I can make it down there sometime. Yeah, the Goldwing group might be interested. There's a new this person, Lloyd. I guess you are now the new expert of training down there for your club or whatnot. So congratulations, Dale from Cincinnati too. Is it warm down there? I hope it is. Where I am, it's starting to get a little cold. We had been riding for a while. Now, uh, I'm able to see the comments here. I'm kind of learning this myself. I do apologize. Now, this Lady Tao taking the MSF Basic and Advanced rider courses, Total Control Intermediate. So those are pretty excellent, excellent classes. Uh, Anybody else want to share the training that they've taken? No formal extended training. See, now what's interesting about that, Steve mentioned that he hadn't had much formal extended training. Um, and it's really interesting to hear that because I haven't really had a whole lot of extended training as well. So when I started riding, I decided I was going to become an MSF coach. I met the local trainer here. We became friends, and I was teaching for him. And I don't know, I just was inquisitive. People would ask me questions, especially experienced riders, and I'd think, well, geez, the basic course doesn't say to do that, so I wouldn't want to do that. But just to find out that there's a whole world of advanced riding skills. So I ended up taking the advanced rider course in its previous form by the MSF, but we took that like 2 or 3 times, my riding group and I really liked it. Still, I had some gaps in my knowledge. I took the Yamaha Champions Riding School Champ Day, and I do suggest you take that class. I mean, that is just a phenomenal experience, even just for the day. I don't think there's a class that you can take that you're not going to learn something from. I really want to get into the American Super Camp or one of these dirt track riding things, but they're hard to get to and they're hard to find. Um, but to finish the point, I have been able to really put together, um, my writing formula based on reading books and watching videos and trying things out. I'm pretty sure I might have gotten things wrong along the way, but you kind of realize that you were getting it wrong. I mean, there's still things that I read from Keith Code's book with his pivot steering. He presses the outside peg, does some different things. I kind of think I understand it, but it would be nice probably to get into his school, but it's just scheduling and money and that kind of thing as well. What I have heard too is that the advanced rider course, the ARC for the MSF, has updated since I took it. So that's more accessible, and I'm looking forward to getting into that. Um, Yeah, now the MSF ARC practices a lot of trail braking, but with the back brake instead of the front brake. And I don't know if that's what maybe the coach tried to tell you, because my experience when I first took, when I was, pre-trail braking, okay, before I saw the light, I was kind of like everybody else. You're going to trail brake with the rear. You're going to use your rear brake. And when I went to take the first arc, the coach was saying, "Okay, carry your brakes into the turn, trail brake into the turn." So I was afraid. Now at this time, I was an MSF coach, okay, out of V-Strom. This was many years ago, and I was like, "I'm not touching that front brake. Well, I'm not leaning over and touching that front brake. I will try with the rear." I remember the coach telling me, "Okay, now try doing it with the front brake." To trail, keep the brakes on as you make that turn. And my brain quit. I lost the path of travel. It freaked me out. And then I decided I'm going to be this trail braking guy. I took the arc and this kind of thing. So I went to this road in Pennsylvania called Gold Mine Road. It's a really great road. If you can find it, ride it. It's awesome. Somewhere in central Pennsylvania. And I was there with a friend of mine, and we're going through the twisties, and using the rear brake into the turn would work for me. It would sort of help me, I don't know, reduce chassis pitch and slow the bike, that kind of thing. But one really tight downhill turn, I locked the rear. Now, this is blind. I couldn't see if anybody was coming. And all I can really say about the rear brake for trail braking is, it might work for you until that time it doesn't. And then you might have an issue. And people do swear by that rear brake. And you know what? I don't want to get in their way if that's what they want to do. But in those twisties, trail braking is a front brake throttle transition uh, uh, technique. Now, I do trail brake with the front brake, though, although I do take curves at a slow pace. Now, what I would say about that is it's okay to take a curve at a slower pace. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. And I'm a big proponent of telling riders, if you just want to take it easy, that's fine. You don't have to go fast through the turn. I mean, I've gone through kind of that transition. Okay. When I first started riding and I started a motorcycle group out here, and I was the guy who wanted to go fast. And, I'd book through the corners, and I would kind of feel like a better rider because people weren't behind me, that kind of thing. But, I was having pucker moments back then. I wasn't in full control of the motorcycle. I thought I was. I thought I was great. And since I've kind of come to this point where I am now, it's not about the speed for me. It's about having 100% control through the turn. It's possible, it's doable, it's easy if you know the timing of the brake to throttle transitions. And so cornering confidence sort of sets you up to do that. And you know what? As a byproduct of the brake throttle transitions, you're faster. So on those days when I'm just feeling like I could take on the world, I might go a little faster. But then other days I'm just like letting my buddies go ahead. They feel a little bit more, quicker today or whatever. And so you have to get, if the people you're riding with are pressuring you to go faster, or you think you have to, you really don't. You really don't have to, and you might want to but find a new riding group or something like that. But it is tough because people do equate speed with skill. I just don't buy it. It's not it's there are people who they do crazy things. People I know, they go faster than I would want to do, but they haven't had any trouble. Too many variables in the corners, and so you ride by yourself. Um, I will say this too. I was lucky enough. Okay, when I first started riding, it was a solo deal. Nobody in my family rode. My wife's not into it. I didn't really have anybody that rode. I started doing iron butt things, and I would just go to the coffee shop, and I was sort of like that guy, just kind of hanging around. So I got tired of it, and I there was no real riding group where I live. There was, the Harley riders, okay, doing their thing, the cruisers, and then there was the kids on sport bikes doing wheelies and things like that. And there was really nothing in the middle. So I started a meetup group. This is 10 years ago. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to start a riding group that's like-minded people like you. So people would show up. I would have these standards, right, that they had to meet. And so some people would come with a t-shirt on, and one of the so I call him an old timer. He passed away. He's one of my mentors of just riding. He said, look, he would tell people, you're wearing jeans. If you crash, I just don't want to be around when that happens. Or if you're wearing a t-shirt. And I wasn't that direct with people, but I said, look, if you want to ride with us, you got to wear the gear. I would say there are a lot of variables in corners, but there's not that many of them. And a lot of what I talk about in the book and in the program is it's usually speed problems, anxiety, steering issues. And so all of these things can be nailed down with the brake throttle transitions, which people refer to as trail braking. Now, now I do see here, I get a lot of the link breaks with the gold wing, but they do have a bias. So if you use the front brake on a gold wing, it'll do more in the front and a little bit of rear. And then the rear brake, I do believe it'll do just more rear and a little bit of front. And I do sort of address this that link braking systems may try to keep the chassis more flat, as I call it, so that if you're not just using front or rear, you can see what happens with that suspension there. Um, so someone said correct. Sid, what correct are we talking about? And you guys are hearing me okay? I mean, this is working out. Um, it's the first time I've done this, so I know how annoying it is when you can't hear or see something. Um, I'm trying to. Is it people saying it's correct because of the variables in the corner? Um, let's see here. I guess I can. You hear me fine? Okay, correct on the links breaks. Excellent, good. Now what I guess I'll kind of go down the little plan that I have for here. Do you guys have any questions, about me, like Q&A about me? You want to know anything about me, regarding motorcycling? Um, that I can answer those questions. You could put those up. Anybody read the book? Has anybody gotten through the book? Has anybody taken my courses? Um, these are all questions that would be great. One of the things that I will kind of point out, I'm I'm aware of sort of where I fit in with motorcycle, coaching. There are professionals that do this for a living. There's YouTubers that are, making it big. I mean, Fast Eddie's just fantastic. He's done a lot for me. He's helped me promote my book a little bit. He's just an outstanding human being. Um, some of the coaches that I've met along the way, that's their full time job. That's their full time gig. I'm a high school teacher, and so I'm spending the days teaching kids business electives. Basically, I've been doing it for 22 years. I also teach driver's ed in the summer, and I'm always in a car teaching driver's ed or whatnot. And of course, up until I stopped being an MSF coach in 2017, I think, it's been kind of full time with this. And so I'm sort of doing this as like a labor of love, and it's just my small little package. This is my, I guess, sliver of contribution to motorcycle skills. Um, now, now what's interesting, Lloyd, I was good. You said, do you want to come and ride with us in Cincinnati and coach a few of us next summer? What I had said maybe earlier before you came in, or you might have heard me, I just was starting, I maybe didn't read these at first, but what I'm trying to do is more informal coaching tours. So maybe coming to Cincinnati or the general area. As a matter of fact, I'd love to ride in Kentucky and um, work in sort of an enjoyable ride for me, and maybe bring a couple friends with me, and then hook up with a group of people that may have read the book or taken the online class. What's Let me just give you a quick rundown of how this happens. Now, I've been doing these coaching tours for about 3 years. I've been going to the BMW rallies. I've sold out BMW rallies, and I've really enjoyed it. Now, what ends up happening is um, I don't know how these people ride, and so sometimes it's kind of dicey, because you get into some really sticky situations, and I may not know the road in Salt Lake City. I may not know certain things, and very complex. And coaching tours, anybody that does them, if you can get in one, get in one, because the people that are offering these, I mean, they're they're really doing it for a labor of love too, because it just taking people on the public streets. There's just so many unknowns, especially the rider skills. Now, I've dealt with some really, really great riders. Now, I started following people this June. I did a couple in Roanoke. I went with full days, and I actually was, instead of doing half days where I led the whole day, put people in front of me. And they were taking off like a shot, and I mean, I knew the road in front of us, and I kind of knew the speed they were going, and I just wasn't that comfortable. And when people are paying you a good amount of money, you're sort of tethered to them. And so what I want to do is sort of make the actual riding together and getting together is more the informal part. So maybe I make a few bucks off the online course, and maybe a special you know uh, tour fee or something where I come down and we spend time together. But yes, um, now someone says this is your second career after being a teacher, preparing for retirement from it. Um, I have 8 years left before I can formally get my retirement from teaching. So I'm going to be doing that probably for a while. You also have to be careful not to turn something that you love into your work, because you might actually stop liking it after a while. Um, Now, right, informal is great, and there are a few fast guys, a few hot dogs in our group. We could use some basic street feedback. And what's nice about that is, let's say I'm in a more informal setting. If I don't like how things are going, I can pull over, and I can just kind of take a breather and get away from it. Whereas if someone's paying you money, it's kind of harder to, sort of abandon the situation. Again, I'm not sure I'm done doing the coach work. I mean, I really love doing them. I actually had a woman in Roanoke just in June, and there was two people in this class, and she was the last one that kind of hung around. The other guy had to take off and had home a little early. And man, this woman was riding like the wind in front of me. She looked so good. And she ended up emailing me like a week or so later, or after I sent the latest newsletter to her. And she said, man, the people in my riding group have been coming up to me telling me how much better I look, in control of the motorcycle. And it's that kind of thing that really makes you happy, because it's for the safety. That's one of the reasons why I do what I do. But really, it's not. It's for the enjoyment, so that you are in full control. And that's one of the philosophies I picked up from one of Nick Einach's articles in Cycle World, where he just kind of talked about two philosophies of teaching. Is there the strict, do as I say, safety kind of mentality, or I think it was something like brilliance in the basics. This Air Force pilot from the British Air Force said brilliance in the basics. If you're good at running that motorcycle or riding, operating that machine, you're going to be safer. I actually wore a safety second shirt at the BMW rally in September, because, I saw it. I thought it was interesting. Safety second. Okay. The skills should be first, and then you'll be safer. Um, started started riding at 50. Yeah, that's, I was lucky enough that I started riding at about 30 years old, 31. As a matter of fact, what happened was I always wanted to ride a motorcycle. I took the MSF class in April of 2001, just thinking I'm going to get my license. And I just had two little kids, okay, 1 and 3 years old. And the Twin Towers fell like a week after I got a week after I took this class. I actually signed up in April for a September class. It was the first week of September. And that next week, I mean, we had that major tragedy. And I just said to my wife, I said, life is short, and I'm going to do this thing. And what's interesting is I probably did more riding with my buddies and things when my kids were younger than I do now. Because see, now my kids are grown up, and when I go out riding all Sunday, and my wife's like, well, when are you going to come home, kind of thing. So um, haven't quite figured out how to get her into it yet, but I don't think it's going to happen. Um, what else you have here? Trail brake on the rear brake. Now, my wife is probably going to be home in a little while. She teaches dance at her dance studio till about 8 o'clock, and she's probably going to want to come in. And this is my living room. So my studio I hope that you guys can, you know, uh, not critique me too poorly on this. I'm trying really just to give you feedback directly. Now, how I see things happening, and I'm gonna wrap this one up. I do think I'm gonna continue to do the videos, every Tuesday. Uh, it's possible that I will uh, start them at 7:30, so look for that. And in between now and next week, maybe you can get through chapters 1 through 4. There's not that much information there, and we can talk about those specific things in chapter 4 or 1 through 4 with the straight and flat principle. That's important. Confidence, which is pretty quick. The body position things, any questions you have about body position, looseness. And so once you go through those, take a look at the action items. And if the weather is still nice where you are, try some things. Then you can come and ask me, direct questions based on those things. Also, I will say that in the online course, if you're taking that, there is a discussion set up in the videos and the knowledge types of things. And so, uh, that's that's really what I would suggest that you guys do. I'm gonna bow out now. I want to say thanks. I mean, we're at, about 31 minutes, and I'm gonna probably work on this. I guess I can practice doing these videos unlisted, so I can really work out the kinks. Maybe because it's a little dark in here, the video's not coming through as well. I mean, it's a cheaper laptop, but I want to say thanks. Thanks for caring about what I'm doing. Thanks for wanting to be better at writing, and I hope to see you. And you can keep commenting if you have any other questions. Have a good night.